Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here for another ATS News live stream. Hit the like button. And for replay viewers, thank you so much for also listening and hype it if you're able to. And yeah, we're going to get right into this Mackenzie Shirilla discussion. And I have the perfect panel guest tonight to join me for this discussion. She has been digging into this case for years at this point, and I was so happy that she could come up and talk to me about this case because she is a treasure trove of information. And this is a rabbit hole that a lot of people have fallen down, especially since the Netflix documentary. If you guys are familiar with this case or you've seen the documentary, just put a 1 in chat. I'm curious where everyone stands as far as like how much you know about this case. So let me pull up Melly. She is linked in the description box. She's linked in chat and in the title, and has a whole playlist on this case. So I definitely recommend if you want more of this discussion and to analyze this case much deeper, you should definitely check out Melly's playlist. And thank you so much for joining, Melly. I'm so excited to have this discussion with you.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk to you about this. And hello, chat and replay viewers. Nice to see you all in chat.
This is crazy. Okay,
I
so
know.
I all I know is this was brought to YouTube around like 2024. I think initially was obviously we knew about the case when it broke headlines like year 2022, right?
Yes. It's been around for a while. So I was surprised by how popular it is and how it blew up on Netflix, to be honest. I didn't expect that. I
I
really
haven't
didn't.
seen a case blow up after a Netflix documentary like this since Watts. So, like,
Yeah.
when the Watts documentary went on Netflix, that was in 2020, and at that point, I'd been in that case a year and a half or so, and then it was, like, a new wave of people who were like, "Wait, what? I never heard about this case out of Colorado before, like, lo let me watch this documentary," and then it was a new wave of people that are like, "I don't understand this, like, I'm trapped down this rabbit hole," and so this I think has that type of like grasp on people where they're just like, whoa, like after they watch the documentary, if they've never heard of this case, then there's a lot of people that are like, I'm hooked on like looking into this because there there's it's a very interesting case in the aspect that there wasn't anything that was like it's just unique because it's a car crash. So it's a different type of crime scene in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just so like you're right. The 100 miles per hour, who would think to kill someone intentionally in a crash like that? It's brutal, but I think it's people are so into it because it's toxic relationships too. And
Mhm.
there's other aspects to it. I think truly once you get to know the case, there's mental health aspects, I think. And clearly there's something going on with the parents.
Mhm.
And so I think it's relatable, but like you said with Watts, I have been covering it since like I think November of 2024 is when like initially started diving deep into it. So to
Mhm.
like you said, once it came out and now it's like a whole new wave of people and everybody wants to know everything and there's a lot of information out there and it's just wild, but yes, I think it's very brutal. RIP Dom and Davion. And I'm really glad though that people are learning about it. I think it's about time. I always, like I just said, we've been talking about it over on my channel a long time, but I never thought it would be getting this much attention. And yes, it's very brutal. So I'm really not surprised that us in the true crime community are very into it, but also like people not into true crime are very into it
Mhm.
as well.
That sorta happened with the Watts case, and it's
Mhm.
interesting, like, both of them have this, like, aspect of social media where, like, we almost feel like voyeurs, is that the word? Who are, like, peeking in on, like, like deeper into this case and the
Mhm.
people involved and the victims because of the amplified like social media presence that we're able to comb through, which was something
Mhm.
that you've been doing since. So I went on my maternity leave and I was following, like, I don't know if you even remember, like, I'm in your chat when you're going through like her video, because the thing is, like,
Yes.
guys, when Melly's like reading these text messages and stuff, like, it's very hard to read and then also interact with chat. But as she's going through the FOIA files, she's reading text messages, she's going through her social medias. I'm just going to play some of these videos while we're discussing.
Mhm.
But I was somebody in your chat and obviously moderating, and I'm like watching this case unfold like on your channel, and I'm like, what, this is
Nuts.
crazy. Like,
Mhm.
um
She
I
is unhinged.
and you need to like watch everything so deeply in this, because it paints the picture, like it paints a bigger picture. Was she just going 90 there?
Yes, that's why I included it in this clip. I'm glad you caught on to that because I'm like, after I made it, I'm thinking people might not get like why I'm putting like her just driving, but she's going 90 and you can see it on the speedometer. So it wasn't the first time, that she drove fast that night.
And even if she's like think about it this way, she could be going 30 miles an hour. Is she looking at the road like at all times in these videos? No.
No.
Like even at 30 miles an hour, like she's reckless. Like, and this was the thing that was like important, and they did include it in the documentary and in sentencing time, where they're pulling up her social media and they're like, just, I mean, all we have to do is play these videos and you kind of get a peek at like who she is, what she's about, like, because she looks very innocent and very meek and all that when she's in her handcuffs and when she's sitting in court, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
to see all these videos and I'm like, even just her still frame photos that you went through on your channel, it's like you definitely get to see the personality behind the name Mackenzie Shirilla, and it's not good
And
on
she's
many
young.
levels.
She's
Yes.
young. Let's remember that. Like, I know for some people it's like, what, why is it? It's just, like it's the fact that she was 15 to 17 years old when all of these videos and clips and text messages where she's like violent and aggressive and abusive.
Mhm.
It's very young.
And another thing that I know that you've said about why you were kind of fascinated into this case, and I kind of feel like it's the same as like relatable in a sense of like we all were teenagers at one point. We all were in deep relationships that we probably thought like, oh, I'm going to marry this person, and that is exactly
Mhm.
what Mackenzie thought of Dom, and like after you're with somebody so long and you see all the sides of them, I think that it was to a point where Dom was like, this isn't who I want to be with forever. Like in the documentary, the parents said something like, we let her move in with him at 17 when she graduated because we thought she was mature enough. But then when you go through her text messages with her parents and you see like the level of disrespect and the level of like her being dependent on them for every little thing and not being appreciative, you know what I mean? Like it's like, how could they have even okayed her to like live with him at 17? There was so many things that her parents do and are still doing.
And you make a good point, like the toxic relationship, right? A lot of us have been in a toxic relationship. A lot of us have acted toxic. And I think it's humbling when we can admit that and if we've grown and learned. But I
Mhm.
think that's why a lot of people also relate to this. And also because Kenzie's very manipulative and people have experienced relationships like that, unfortunately. And then when it comes to her parents, I've been thinking a lot about this as the movie or documentary has been out and number one and everyone's talking about it, like where, and we've talked about it on my channel too, about like where does this come from? Like did she see this in her relationship, in the relationship with her parents? Like you see how abusive she is in the text messages and how she's reckless and unhinged, but you have to wonder, like again, she was 15, 16, 17. How does one become so careless and evil? And to what extent did her parents know? In my opinion, I think they knew exactly what they were dealing with. And I think they know their daughter. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, they created the monster in a way. Like,
And I
I
think that's why they allowed her to move out with Dom. Dom fully supported her financially, mentally, emotionally towards the end. So it's like I think they couldn't handle her. That's my opinion, but I think they couldn't handle her, really.
I could see it where it's kind of like now she's his problem.
Yes, exactly. Like he was driving her to school and like giving her money for school and like to buy gifts for her family and like buying her food, clothes. She was living there, not paying anything. Like got fired from Dunkin' Donuts. Like, you know what I mean? She was young.
Yeah.
And so for her parents to just be like at 17, especially if they knew that she was toxic, they play a role in that, you know?
Oh, yeah, and you could see the lack of discipline and and even in their conversations in the documentary, like, saying things like, "Oh, the worst thing about her is her mouth." It's like, are you watching the same train wreck we're watching? Because there's a lot about her that's not it goes beyond just she has a smart mouth.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. It's the more I've gotten into it this week too, I absolutely think it was all intentional. I know people have different opinions and people, but the more I put together, the more I review things, I'm like, absolutely not. This girl is just, and I'm glad you brought up the whole being disciplined because they're still enabling her even while she's locked up.
Mhm.
Now, you can see it in that documentary, how much they enable her and how much they don't even know how to gather their thoughts about parenting. They're all over the
Yeah.
place. Steve is up there with a boom shirt saying that, she can smoke all this stuff and now look at what happened with his job. It's like this is
Yes.
all from Kenzie. It stems from her
Yeah.
actions.
And, like, when we're talking about, like, why would she think that she could disrespect Dom the way she has, like, through text messages and in the video that got included at her sentencing, like, showing her, like, trying to get into his house or apartment, you know what I mean? That whole
Mhm.
thing that made her look terrible. I wonder if maybe if it's not something that she witnesses between her parents, because it does seem like they're kinda, like, mellow people, like, lazy and, like, just like, it seems like Steve thinks he's, like, the brains, and he might be the brains of the pair, which isn't saying much because he's,
Right?
lying and making a fool of himself on TMZ all week and all that, but, I don't know, like, when I got that vibe when the mom said something like, "And you said, remember, not to talk to them unless we had a lawyer." And then she says something like, "And, I handed them her phone because we don't have anything to hide." Because it's like, but then what would be the point in getting the lawyer before talking to him? But then you don't get the lawyer to say, "Don't hand the phone over yet." Like, you gotta make them at least get a warrant or whatever. Like, it just seemed like she didn't understand, like, the purpose of, like, protecting yourself with a lawyer by handing over the phone, which I'm glad she did, you know what I mean? But it was just like, I think that Steve is the brains here and he's a moron. But
He absolutely is, and you know what? I was thinking, like, maybe Natalie is a little bit of an airhead and she just don't get it, but,
yes,
the last few days, if you go back into the court footage, and then you go when they tell her about the accident and how she freaks out, like, at Steve, I don't know, I got toxic vibes from her too now, so I'm like, "Ooh, maybe it's a mixture of, like, Steve and Natalie, obviously, that where Kenzie gets him from, but
mhm,
we don't know what happened behind closed doors, and they're not gonna come out and say, they have a toxic adult relationship, and
right.
so it's
And it
shocking.
could just take one incident that she witnessed as a kid that
Mhm.
molded her a certain way, or like it take out the parents of showing her a disrespectful dynamic. I also think the fact that her parents let her walk all over them attributed it to her thinking that she could disrespect Dom, because if her own parents don't make her respect them, then it still is kind of like shaping her way to treat people who she quote unquote loves with a certain like attitude and level of respect. So it's
She
like they didn't do her any favors for Dom by just letting her disrespect them either. You know what I mean?
it's Absolutely wild how she talks to her parents and the relationship she has. It's an odd dynamic to me. I understand that some people might disagree or have that dynamic, but the way she talks to Natalie and Steve is just so gross to me. It's your
Yeah.
parents. Like, she says, in those phone calls. And I think, like I said, I think Kenzie was running that household. And I think that giving her and letting her move in with Dom was a way for them to get a break from that.
Mhm. Yeah, 'cause they feel it's different someday when and although you have, like, nieces and nephews, so I know that you see how, like, much work parenting is. When you have
Mhm.
your own kid, you're gonna realize someday that disciplining takes work and energy for the parents. Like, sometimes I just wanna be like, "Whatever, do whatever." Like, I just don't care, like, because I just wanna go on with whatever I'm doing, but then I realize, like, no, I gotta follow through. I gotta have this
Mhm.
discussion. I have to, sit her in timeout for a minute or, and, like, let her know that when you do something, there is consequences, and it takes time and energy. Like, sometimes I'm drained after and it's just like a timeout situation. But what I realize is, like, it seems like Mackenzie's parents were always like, "Let's just let her do whatever so that, give her the lollipop so she stops crying," you know?
I think that they did whatever Kenzie wanted. They could have possibly been somewhat in a way scared of her. Um, but I think that they bowed down to her and spoiled her and enabled her, and I don't know. I feel like they deep down knew that something bad would happen eventually. Kenzie has had prior disturbances before, so I don't know. I just feel like at least Steve, knew that
Mhm.
she was unhinged,
Yeah,
really.
and when okay, so at sentencing, they mentioned or her lawyer mentions how we have letters or they had sent the judge letters, like, basically saying, like, "Oh, she's always been kind and a good student and a good friend, blah, 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 blah," even though we've seen, evidence otherwise, but
Mm.
and then, like, HMS says, "The mother's court statement showed a lot." Then Natalie's, like, up there pleading with the judge, like and the judge says, "I haven't heard you mention the victims at all." And it was just like, "Yeah, hello, Natalie, like, do you not realize how tone deaf you're being right now?" Like, sh and then she starts to say something along the lines of that they had just met Davion, and the judge was like, "So that
Mhm.
means his life doesn't matter?" Like, it was almost like she was saying, like, "Well, we didn't know him."
It was what that's exactly what she was saying. She was like, Davion was a new friend,
Yeah.
and the judge was like, does that mean his life had no value or something like that? And she's like, oh God, no. And then
Yes.
she like walks away and says to Kenzie, I love you. And I'm like, how is this?
It
What
was
is
so
this?
awkward. Like, I put my hand over my mouth because I was just like, "No." Like, no, she did not, like then that's when I realized, like, I just feel like the parents are just, like, in their own world, like, "Do, do, do," and I'm like, they don't wanna deal and people were agreeing with you in chat saying, like, they probably are, like, scared of her.
Okay, so did they just give up and they're like, "Listen, that's our daughter. She probably did do it intentionally, but they're gonna always back her up, right?" Or do they really not see it? Like, do they really I guess I'm confused, like, do they really think she's innocent, or are they just like, "This is my daughter, and now we have come this far, and we're not gonna, like, turn our back on her now?"
So the end of the documentary, remember when the mom is, like, going through the text messages and she's like, "And this text message here shows that,
Mhm.
Mackenzie texted Dom's mom and was telling Dom's mom that Dom was driving reckless with her in the car," and, like, all that stuff. She's like, "So it wasn't hearsay that, they heard her say to Dom that she crashed the car. It was Dom who was driving reckless." But I think, like so to answer your question, I think Natalie thinks, like, she's innocent, like, this is a misunderstanding, but I think Mackenzie's more like Steve and, like, this kind of manipulative, like, lying type personality. Because like, he went
Yes.
on TMZ and lies this week, like, stop it, Steve. But, yeah, and I think that Steve knows that she was probably didn't get her way or something, and, like, that's the thing is I think she thought it was gonna end with, like, they were all gonna pass together.
I think
And
so
that
too.
that would have made her the happiest, because if you're not gonna be with me, I'm not gonna be alive and watch you be with somebody else. And the other thing about them too is they're at that age, and you'll remember this too, like, where you think that your high school friends are gonna be, like, your ride or die until, like, you're old.
Mhm.
And you can't see beyond, like, meeting other people and moving out of your town, and, realizing that there's so many more people to meet in your life than your little high school clique. And it's like, I think that Mackenzie was at a point, like, if she wasn't hanging out with Rosie and, all them, then who was she gonna be hanging out? She was gonna be kicked to the curb, and I think that that's where a little bit of resentment came in with why she didn't really care that Davion was in the car too. And she thought, "They're pushing me out of this clique, and, like, they're not gonna just carry on
Exactly. I think
without me."
that yes, I think you're right. I think she for a long time, I figured, okay, maybe I thought she was so narcissistic for a long time before this. Been reviewing everything again that I figured she loves herself so much. She's such a narcissist. She would never take her own life. Like she would never, be willing to do that. But then I'm like, well, she did it. And now, we're reviewing everything and the Netflix documentary comes out, I think that she, like you're right, she knew that she might go too, but she was willing to take that chance. And with Davion, it's like, wow, how sad, he was just going home with his friends to get a ride. Like, how evil to not even at least, not that I'm saying like, oh, then go back in the car and kill her and Dom again, but I like, why not let Davion stay if she knew she was gonna do that, or like drop him off somewhere, like get off on the side of the road. Like, and then maybe Davion could have got out and called the cops or something. Like the fact that she was just so willing to include him in this is so terrifying and so sad. And I can't
Mhm.
imagine for them those last couple of seconds of their lives for such terror, to go out like that. It's really truly so sad.
And then
The
to
best thing ever.
hear, Davion's parents, because like, the thing about these cases that I think people forget is during this whole process of the courts, like, they see the CCTV footage for the first time too, you know? And, hold on, let me pull up that little video that I did. I have so many tabs. Because I didn't know where to start because there's so much to dig into in this case that I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, there is a lot. There's a lot of information. I feel like this week a lot more came out, and
The murder of Dom.
I think that that's why they wanted to release a Netflix documentary. I was gonna tell you this earlier and message you, but I think this is that they really wanted to make this and participate in it, and by they, I mean the Shirillas,
Mhm.
because she's fighting for an appeal, a second
Yes.
appeal, and I think that they think this will help them. But I don't a lot of people do think she's innocent, though. I mean, let's be fair, let's play devil's advocate.
Mhm.
We might have an opinion, but there are those free Mackenzie Shirilla people, you know?
Yeah, and the thing that I like about, when I watch these documentaries, I get to have, like, my husband watch it with me because he's not into true crime like we are, but he'll sit there and watch something with me because it's only 45 minutes or however long, and then he can go
Mhm,
back to things he likes. And I was just, like, amazed at his own opinion was kind of like he hasn't dug into the photos and the everything that we've done on your channel, like, obviously, he's not sitting in chat t seeing everything that we've seen.
mhm,
So, his point of view was, "Well, I don't know," because like, about her guilt or innocence, he's like, "Well, I don't know. This sorta sets a precedent that if you get in a car wreck with somebody and they end up finding in text messages and or video that you've argued with these people, like, you could potentially be charged with murder." You know? So and I was like
mm,
I thought about it from that point of view for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, wow." Like, I mean, we look at everything that we read through her text with Dom and, like, and I think honestly, I can speak for myself, like, I was once a teenager. I was once a female, like, emotional, hormonal teen like Mackenzie,
mhm,
and if I didn't get my way with, like, my first boyfriend who I thought, like, I'm gonna marry and, like, we're never gonna break up ever, like, I definitely could see it getting, spiraling. Would I drive into a car at 90 miles per hour? No, but I could see that somebody like Mackenzie could possibly spiral to that point to be like we said, like, "You're not gonna be with me, then we're not carrying on, like, at all. Any of us."
I like that you mentioned that because I was in a very toxic relationship in my 20s, and you live and learn, and I can really appreciate that you said that. Um, and I think that's why I also was so, like, into this case. But the thing I think I can't get past I just can't get past the science of this. Do you know what I mean? Like the facts that prove that she did it intentionally and the pots thing. And I mean, there's so much to this. I just, we're familiar with these patterns in relationships, but I think a lot of red flags here were missed. And I mean that
Mhm.
respectfully on both parties from both sides. Because they knew how toxic she was and like they didn't do anything to stop her. Like you and I or people might have had a toxic relationship and gotten out of it or whatnot, but they knew she was toxic and they didn't stop her ever from, contacting Dom or being with Dom or going over there. They were like, no, go sleep over. Yeah, move in with him. Like,
Mhm.
and they knew how toxic she was.
And I I know, even knowing that she got a speeding ticket, there was never where it was like, "You're not." She never should have had that car, for one. She didn't deserve it, and she obviously couldn't drive, um, maturely, or if you're getting a ticket and you're doing all these videos with you behind the wheel, like, I'm sorry, how are the parents not seeing even those videos of her?
And I want to touch back on what your husband said because that's interesting. Because we're living in a world where we're like run by social media. And that is so true what he said. Your husband, it's like, okay, yeah, now sometimes you would find evidence in a person's home when they committed a crime like back in the day. It's like now the evidence is on the cell phone. It's on the TikToks. And I can see where he's coming from that. I can also appreciate that perspective. Sometimes I get so lost in this and I'm like seeing what I'm seeing. And that's why
Oh,
this
yeah.
week with everyone's opinions and different people starting to cover it in the documentary, it's just like, okay, wow, I've been thinking this way for a long time. I think it's time we review everything because there's, I think her parents should be held accountable to some extent, but to what, and is
Mm.
that fair? I don't know,
Yeah, it's a whole I never even thought about, like, well, if you get in an accident and they find texts where it's a whole thing, but I wanted to just show you this and get your opinion, real quick, because we
yes.
said, like, we can't imagine, like, the seconds leading up to what had happened, and somebody in chat said that, and I kind of had this idea too, why didn't it's hard to say, like, why didn't the victims do this? Because it's like, oh, they were probably terrified. You know what I mean? You're not thinking like, I know how to get out of this situation. Like, they were probably like, why is she even doing this? You know what I mean? And we find out that there was movement with the gear shifts and it going from neutral to drive, and so something was taking place in that car. The boys didn't have their seatbelts on, like, and I don't think it was because, like, oh, they just didn't wear them. I think there was a reason, and people are like, why didn't they just snap their seatbelt back on, and I really think that they're probably just in complete shock that this was actually happening. It was so quick. But what do you make of this, like, light in the car?
Footage that shows the car traveling down the road before hitting the brick wall. I noticed a bright light in the vehicle. It almost appeared to me like it was a screen of a laptop or an iPad. Or
You know what's crazy too is, like, she approaches it like she's on a driver's test. She perfectly puts the blinker on, like, in a timely manner. She turns completely fine, kind of slow too. Like, and I just noticed this, like,
some sort of device. I took a still frame from the footage and put it in ChatGPT, and this was ChatGPT's response. The image is too blurry and low resolution to identify that light with confidence. It could be several things, including a dashboard, instrument panel glow, a phone or device screen, an interior dome map light reflection, or simply glare and reflection from the camera and the headlights. I can tell the bright area appears near the front driver's side portion of the vehicle, but there isn't enough to reliably determine the exact source of the light from this frame alone. What do you guys see and what do you guys think? Comment down below, please.
That's interesting. I hadn't really paid attention to that. I don't know. It could look like a laptop, but we would have think they would have found that, right? The police.
yeah, I don't know. I tried to ask you in like chat, but obviously you're conducting your stream. So, but I was like, did they find like a laptop or an iPad or anything?
No, they didn't.
Yeah, and then of course I go through what little information I've gathered like from the FOIAs, and nothing's like listed as far as like, oh, they found this or that. So I don't know.
But that's interesting. I hadn't noticed that. Or could it maybe be that Dom was, the flash on your camera? Like, it doesn't look like that, but with the reflection of the lights in the window, like, I wonder if they were attempting to like video it or when they knew she was going to do something. Because
Yeah.
my theory is that they got in the car and they were already fighting. And I think Dom and Kenzie were fighting in the car. And I think that Kenzie was like, listen, if you don't do this and this and this, like, or they were arguing. And you know how she talks. And she was probably like, I will drive this car. Like, if you don't stay with me or do what I say, like, I could see her totally doing that.
Mhm.
And then I think that that's why Davion was leaned forward and tried to stop her, because I think they really did fight for their lives trying to stop her.
Absolutely.
But that's an interesting point. Good catch, because I had not caught that at all.
And so I was like, obviously when ChatGPT was like, well, or maybe it's like a navigation thing. So I pulled up her make and model, and like they don't really have like you know how like Teslas have like a pretty big screen? I don't think it was like this screen. It's like not in the right position of like where the light's coming. It does seem like it's the passenger like showing the driver something or something.
Yes.
And this leads me to that whole deep dive that you did the other night regarding the FOIAs, where there is, oh, thank you, Diva Girl. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. And we appreciate you as well. Thank you. There in the FOIAs, because again, I didn't know where to start with this, but I think that their like PowerPoint that they did is like a good place to kind of line up and start. But where it mentioned her prostitution, like, do you think that was something that she was confronted in by Dom, perhaps?
I think with a plethora of things, but yes, I think that was one of the main things that he was just like, I'm done. Like, and I know he had been aware of it prior to this night, but I think that Kenzie was doing stuff behind his back. And when he was like, I'm done with you, and she knew that he was actually serious, I think that's when she decided, well, like you said earlier, if he's not going to be with me, he's not going to be with anyone, and I'm willing to take that risk, like in the car. I truly believe, and it goes back to my opinion on Rosie and the friends, and I think that they were really fighting at that house.
I do too. Okay, so obviously I can't play the Netflix clip.
No, I wish we could.
Like, I know.
I would love to watch that.
I'm going to play an audio from it that I recorded from my TV, because if I have a different screen and all that, like, this is fair use. You know what I mean? If
I used a little bit of, I think it was it a Steve clip from the movie, and they didn't ding me for it. I didn't get a notification. So
okay, I've had good luck with just playing like the audio, but I texted you on Instagram as soon as I was watching it, and Rosie came on scene talking about like there wasn't a single argument or an
Mm.
incident, and in my gut, Melly, I was just like this bitch lying.
Because you've been listening to the texts and Rosie's in them a lot
And
of the
she
time.
acts like that they didn't have a relationship that was tumultuous, but I mean, family members are openly saying, like, I mean, his brothers said that he had told them that he wanted to end things with her. His mom knew that there was both parents knew that there was like ups and downs.
There was instances where they would fight literally in front of Rosie. She would go hang out with Rosie. They would break up for a day and her and Rosie would hang out. Rosie lied. Point
Mhm.
blank, she lied. And I'm very disturbed by
I
that.
am too. And like her using the whole like I mean, I'll play her audio of her saying it, but like the fact that she tries to say that like cops will try and corner you. And listen,
Mhm.
we all know that there are games that are fair play during an investigation. But yes, you should definitely get. I saw this post and I loved it. The type of friend I hope my kids never have. Um,
Think
you, um,
think about it. She didn't cooperate.
Yeah, you
That
can
blew my
still get a
mind.
lawyer, you can still get legal advice and still cooperate and be like, "Yeah, I saw," but she refused to do any level, and it's like, the only reason why you would refuse is if you
Mhm.
are hiding something, and the fact that she was the one. Now again, we're not seeing the whole, like, unedited clip, but, like, she throws it out there that they didn't fight that night, and it's like, interesting you bring that up, like, I wanna know, like, during the editing, like, was she asked, like, was there anything that happened that night? Or because sometimes when people give up information before
Mhm.
even being asked it, it's noteworthy, you know?
Yes, I think there was a lot more to a lot of this interview and the behind the footage of the documentary. Um, Rosie didn't want to cooperate because she knew she was gonna either have to testify at some point, just that alone, or, and against Kenzie, and because I think she played some type of role in all of this. And so I'm shocked that they didn't, like, subpoena her or you know what I mean? Like, how when the David case, they brought in the friends and stuff, like the grand
Mhm.
jury thing? I'm surprised they didn't do that with this case.
I know, I know. This
Like,
case went.
Rosie needed to cooperate, and she should have been held accountable. Like, if you lie, you will do time. You know what I mean? Like,
And the problem, and now that you mention it, like comparing it to the David case, is the appeal that Mackenzie is trying to do. It's like by Rosie not having these statements like on record in the beginning of the investigation, like I think hurts like the case against Mackenzie. Like I don't know. I just feel like
it was them 4 in the house. They were all 4 in that house that night. They know what went down.
yes, and everything that led up to them leaving is noteworthy. Like, listen to so this is like 3 minutes. Let's listen.
Which is why they brought them with them and they had them in the car with them.
Rosie would have been the most likely source of information on what was going on in Mackenzie's mind leading up to the crash.
The police called to set up an interview. And I was like, I'm not doing it. People always say the police will like try to say crazy things, especially if you're like alone and you're a teenager. It doesn't seem like we're trying to figure out what happened in the accident. It seems like we're trying to track down the next drug dealers.
You have no idea how hard I tried to get Rosie Graham to talk to me, to cooperate with me. But it's good to hear that she talked to you guys. I'm fascinated to hear what she has to say.
First of all, it wasn't a party at all. Because in my opinion, and in everybody that was there, we call that a sleepover. And that was just a friend sleepover that we would normally do. I brought like a coloring book and like colored pencils. We were watching YouTube videos.
Me, Dave, and Dom, we were watching a shark documentary, stupid shit on the TV. A couple times where we'd go out, smack the bong,
We were having deep conversations and just sitting around. And we were also talking about doing the mushrooms. But then by the time they got over, it was like 12 a.m. And we're all like, it's too late.
So no mushrooms?
Yeah, we were all just kind of like, it's really late. And we had like weed to smoke, so we just smoked weed. Kenzie didn't even smoke that night.
She was on like a smoke break because she was coughing up like black mucus in the way, or like bloody mucus. Something. It was really bad.
Kenzie was sleeping by like 3 a.m. All I remember is Dom just like petting her head all night and just like cuddling up to her on the couch, and she was sleeping and he was just like caressing her hair.
So I want to pause it right there. So she remembers, all I remember is he was petting her head, blah, 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 and she was sleeping. So then I think about like the scene, like if that's true, like is there a chance that he saw like a Snapchat notification or thought like, because the thing is he wanted out of this relationship. Like I believe that 100%, you know, but I think that he had to do it carefully because she was a loose cannon and she was like threatening to like throw him under the bus for certain things. And he was afraid to like walk away abruptly, I think. You know what I mean?
I like that you mentioned that because I kind of agree with you. I think there was a text message, or I even think like a letter or an email. I don't know why, but I've been thinking that this week. I'm like, I think there was something that Kenzie saw. And I think she knew Dom was done with her, but I think he either wrote an email or a letter to like his family that they never got, or to Kenzie, and was like a goodbye letter or an email. I don't know. So, or maybe a snap, or maybe he saw her prostitution stuff. I think it's something along those lines. And he was like, I'm absolutely done and you can just drop me off. Like,
Yes.
You already took your stuff home from that fight. Remember, she went over and got the bags. So I think that he was just like, you can just drop us off. I think they left Rosie's house because they were fighting.
I think so too.
And Rosie says, oh, they came in the kitchen. Dom walks in the kitchen at 5 a.m.
And I was like, are you leaving? Yeah, she's about to say that. And it's like, so everyone was just up all night, but it was too late to do shrooms at midnight.
But then remember, they also say in the documentary that Dom was rubbing her head. But then they say, Kenzie says that Dom wasn't in the room, that she was sleeping, and that Dom wasn't in the room. So where was Dom? Dom was awake. So Dom went into the kitchen. There's something missing, a big part of this here. And this is what I think Rosie didn't want to give up.
Yeah, like I agree with you. Either something was found out from Mackenzie that was like, this is the final straw, like there's no turning back, we are done, or something was discovered by Dom and he was because the thing is, like, sometimes when people are done in a relationship, they will take the other person's phone in hopes to find something to be like, see, what's this? And then that's your reason for leaving, when really you wanted to leave. You know what I mean? Like, you've been wanting to leave, but like you're able to use something that you just caught as like, this is my exit and this is why, and you're to blame, like we're done. So this whole, she was taking pictures of her feet and selling it, like, okay, but we know that it was further than that. It was more than just feet pics. So if you're Dom and you're done anyways, like emotionally and stuff with her, and you end up discovering something, like maybe she was passed out, and then he's like confronts her with it. And he's like, yes. What the hell is this?
I think so. And again, I think they were fighting. That's why I think Davion got in the car. Whatever they were fighting about, I think it was so bad at the house, and Davion wanted to go with Dom to try to protect him. I truly believe that.
Okay, let me play the rest of that clip. Oh, shoot. Sorry, I'm using it on my phone. Hang on. Okay, yeah, he was petting her hair.
All of us all had plans that next day to go out and do stuff.
There was not one argument. There was not one moment of tension. There was not one bad vibe towards anybody. And then really early in the morning, around 5, Dom came into the kitchen and I was like, are you guys leaving?
It was right before they left. Me and David were talking, and he was supposed to come over and work on my truck with me the next morning, and I offered to take him home. Like, it was set that he was coming home with me, and like last minute, he goes, you know what, I want to shower and maybe sleep for like a little bit. For some reason that morning, he gave me a hug. He was like, I love you. And I was like, I love you too, bro. Very weird. It was the first time that we said we love each other for a while.
So, like, I don't know. Like, again, I've stayed up all night with my friends too. Like, but at some point we fall asleep all together and then we wake up and then we go home. Like, why did they just need to leave at 5 a.m.? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. And okay, so he says that Davion said, love you, bro, whatever, I'll take you home. Okay, so then you were awake, but Kenzie was sleeping, but Rosie was awake in the kitchen. Did you guys even sleep at all, like you said earlier, or what was going on? And we'll never know what Bubba and Rosie were doing. They could have done shrooms. They didn't get tested. They didn't get questioned. You know, they didn't have to go on into the courtroom. So we don't really know, to be honest.
I know. Real quick, what was the stream called that you went through the PowerPoint where the it was the state's information about it, right? About the prostitution.
Yeah, it was in that slideshow that you had. The PowerPoint.
Okay, yeah. So can you summarize it or tell the chat like what stream you have where you read through it? Like, she was soliciting like randoms, or
it was people off Snapchat. It was like a sugar daddies.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then she was first. It started with selling feet pics and having like feet sex. I don't know exactly what that means, but she was doing that. And then we find out with this, I mean, we already had seen this, but this information proves that she was doing like a lot more than that. She was full blown sending like videos and offering to meet up with men for $2,500 and doing stuff on camera and like, yeah, getting money for it. She was really into it is what we've learned from after the fact. But I do have it on my channel, and it is, I believe it was Mackenzie Shirilla hospital incident and behavior reports. And that went over the prior calls with the police and the prostitution stuff. She was willing to meet up with men and do everything for a price of $2,500 or $3,500.
I honestly think that has something to do, like, because think about it. Imagine Dom finds out, like, or reads a message or something, you know what I mean? Because, like, you were able to even see, like, some of the stuff that they forensically, like, took from her phone, and they were nasty messages, you know what I mean?
Very nasty.
Imagine him reading it, and then, I mean, we're done. There's no going back after he finds that stuff out.
I think he knew what she was up to, but I don't think he thought to an extent that she was meeting up with guys like that.
Yeah. And like, you could think like, oh, okay, yeah, you want to send this and that to some dude, like, whatever, I don't care. Like, I'm the one that's with you at night. But when you realize that it's gone further than just like, oh, I'm sending snaps to guys, or they asked to see this or that, so I got a few $100, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, and plus he's looking for a reason to leave anyways. He's already like emotionally, I think, becoming detached from her and like ready to walk away.
Yeah, he had been checked out of that relationship for a long time. I think the whole blackmailing him, and she would threaten to she was blackmailing him like, oh, I'm going to tell and report you to the cops that you were selling marijuana and that you were dating me when you were older and it was grape. Like, she was foul. She was very foul. So I think that part of him was scared. You know, what he was doing as a business or as a side hustle is one thing. It doesn't negate, you know, what Kenzie did. I know people are like, oh, well, Dom wasn't perfect either. Right. But still, Dom wasn't the one who killed two people.
He was never emotionally or any type of abuse to her.
Right. No, he wasn't. I know they would argue and like cuss each other out and stuff, but like, he was never what Kenzie was.
So laid back. And like that one guy in the documentary, Bubba, is that his name?
Yeah.
he said something that I felt like actually, even though like he wasn't that close with Dom, I think that like he was right when he said that he was sort of like a Yoda type personality where like he was just like wise beyond his years, and just like you could tell that he like you could see it in his eyes that he's just like he was mellow, the more mellow of the two for sure, more than Mackenzie. And like I think unfortunately that by not, I don't know, shutting things down with her in the first crazy incident, like it but that's the whole conversation of like, yeah, that's why this case is kind of interesting because it shows you how toxic relationships play out.
I have that part pulled up. They labeled it possible pandering obscenities. I don't know if you want me to share it, but it says in the following slide, Kedzie depicted conversations with her Snapchat profile. So she was mainly doing it on Snapchat. And it says, Shirilla communicates with user redacted and discusses doing something for which she originally quotes 4 bands, which investigators know to be slang for $4,000, and then asks, oh, this is an inappropriate sentence. But it basically says that it says, send 1,000, we can link anything you want for 2,500. And then it says this conversation appears as if redacted is soliciting Shirilla, who advises 1,000 for the acts listed above and or $2,500 for anything. So they were able to retract all of this from her cell phone.
I feel like I want to like play like fairly with this, like I would any case, and look at all sides. But honestly, after following like your coverage and like hearing the text messages paint the full picture. Like I know people are like, oh, that's so much to go through. Like, but you see like their dynamic. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you. That's why people probably are like you're right. Nobody wants to read 32,000 pages of text messages, right? That's a lot. It's a lot of time. But it gives you, if everyone read those and then watched the documentary, I think people would have different opinion, or maybe the same one that they already had about her being guilty. But she was being aggressive and threatening him since 2020.
Wow.
That's when the text messages start. And they pulled the ones that, proved violence and her being aggressive and abusive. So they start in 2020 to 2022, the day of the crash.
And the whole text message that she sent to Dom's mom, like, he was driving reckless and I don't feel like safe or whatever. Like, I think that she was the one that was doing that behavior, but she figured she would have it in text message form where it was like a confusing type topic. Like, in case something happened in the future, she could be, do you know what I mean? Like, almost like premeditated.
Yes. I don't believe that incident about Dom doing that. I really don't believe it. I think that it was all her.
Yeah, and of course, Natalie's like, see, this proves that she wasn't the one that. First off, it could be a totally different incident. Like the guy who went to the police and made the statement that he heard her say, like, I'll crash this car right now, like while he was on the phone with Dom, like that could be a totally separate incident than Natalie, I think, is thinking like, see, they got it confused. And it's like, no, it's probably two different things,
Yes, Natalie's clueless. She
is.
I feel like that was, and it's not that I'm glad that happened, but I'm kind of glad it did, because that gave them, in court, they were able to show that amongst with other text messages and stuff. But I think that helped, that it was kind of premeditated, in my opinion.
Yeah, after seeing the documentary, I was like, I can totally see this girl being unhinged enough to just be like, I'll end it, all of us.
Yeah. But I mean, why Davion?
Right. I know. And that's what everyone. And is it true? I think the documentary said it, that like one of the first things she asked when she was like talking to people was, how's Davion?
She asked, I think, the paramedics, I thought.
Why?
Exactly. I think, is it because I'm thinking because she knew he was in the car and she wanted to know if he lived.
Yeah, like she knew he was an innocent he was just a
But
something
listen,
happened
what's
at that house.
creepy what's creepy is think about when the crash happened, right? It took paramedics and police and ambulance 45 minutes. So she was sitting in the car with them, literally dying.
And they said in the documentary that like Davion didn't die right away, but like he was dead. Like he didn't leave in the ambulance alive still.
I think
But
I think they felt a faint pulse on him because I think it was happening. I think he
oh my
was already
God.
dead, and I think his body was like reacting to that.
Oh my God. And like
But what creep?
he-
Like that makes me think, what the hell was said in that car for 45 minutes?
oh my God.
Did she ask for Davion and not Dom because she already knew she couldn't move because she was broken, literally physically, her bones, but she knew? Or what did they communicate?
Right.
Like,
And the thing about her position was she was like tucked underneath the dashboard or something. Like her head was down underneath the steering wheel or something.
I can't help. She was completely below the steering wheel. He had to have ducked.
I was just gonna say that.
I thought different before this week and maybe last week. I thought, okay, probably impact, but I was thinking about when I got rear-ended, and that was just rear-ended at like, I don't know, it was probably like 50 miles per hour, which is still pretty crazy. But
Mhm.
the impact, my head got like split open on my forehead. But then I'm thinking, that's what made me think. I'm like, wait, if she was sitting how she was sitting, where's the point of impact from her head hitting the steering wheel? She had nothing on her face.
Literally, how many people do you guys know and in chat too, like who have a broken nose just from the airbag?
Girl, you get like even the seatbelt alone too. Like that could sometimes if it moves around, it could get your face or your neck. Like her neck was effed up, but nothing on her face. She ducked.
That's why her neck broke.
Exactly.
So then do you think that was she unable to sit up without assistance? Like, or what do you think that she stayed down there and like didn't want to look at what she had done? Or maybe she did look over and see what she did and she stayed down there?
I think she stayed. I think she might have gone into shock for a little bit, but I think she came out of it. And I think that she was just stuck between the door, the seat, and the steering wheel. I think there was no way for her to get out. And that's horrible. I was thinking about this week. I'm like, how evil to like then, I mean, it's not like she could help it, but 'cause she couldn't get out, but like to sit in that car after you just ran it into a building at 100 miles per hour and you're hearing them take their last breath if they didn't die instantly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, think
Yes.
about the creepy part of that. Like,
I'm sorry, there had to have been something that like she heard
and
from
she didn't
Davion.
ask for Dom. So she knew that he didn't make it. She asked for Davion.
And then
I know.
now that you're mentioning it, remember in the documentary where Natalie was like, and then she asked about Davion, and then when we told her he didn't make it either, she was like, oh God. And it's like, what was really that whole oh God about? Was it because like they had a moment in there for 45 minutes?
She probably thought that Davion might have had a chance of making it since he was in the back seat. And she was probably worried, like, oh, is Davion gonna tell what happened or like say something, you know?
Right. She's worried about what he'll say. Ugh,
Exactly.
it's so sick. It's so sick.
Mhm.
And
It really is.
and like, okay, so my husband, of course, we were talking about Davion. Like, why would she do that to him too? And I think, and he kind of agreed too, that like, I think that she saw that because like he was living with them too. And then her stuff was removed from the place, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so then I think that she realizes like, oh, he's gonna be the roommate. Oh, they're gonna be partying together all summer long without me. Like that she saw resentment in Davion to a point where like she didn't care he was in the back seat. Like
And
he was coming between them.
Yes, because he had been living with them, like you said. And I think that while he was staying with them, I think it was like a maybe 2 to 3 weeks, I think that he had been staying with them. And I might be wrong, maybe even a month. But I think that Davion saw a different side of her too while living there.
Mhm.
That could
Oh.
have played a role in this. Like he probably saw how violent and toxic they were. And maybe he wasn't supporting Dom anymore. Maybe he was like, dude, you need to break up with her. Like, this is crazy. This is out of control. Like,
Mhm.
and Dom was already wanting out, like we said, like he said. So it's like, I wonder if, yeah, you're right. Resentment. Davion had already been telling Dom, like, you're good without her. And then they've been fighting and off. And then that night, and she could have just been angry and evil and been like, well, both of them, we'll see what happens,
Yeah, that's the thing about like her, the type of girl she is. Like, she's not thinking about tomorrow. She's thinking about that moment right then and there, and something was taking place that Rosie is lying about. And that ride was something was going on. Like, as far as like a serious conversation or a serious confrontation, or a point of no return for Dom and Mackenzie's relationship was being had seconds before that. Because I think, like, if you can think back at times where you were unhinged, anybody in chat can probably relate, or your significant other, you were trying to break up with them and they became unhinged. Like, there's no walking somebody out of that, like, especially when they're like Mackenzie's age. Like, first off, all the weed she's smoking, like, I know it would sound hypocritical coming from me, but like, I truly think that you should be 18 to 21 possibly to be partaking in as much smoking as she was doing, because it stunts your growth when you're growing and your brain is growing. And I think that mixed with a lot of other issues, like, she wasn't mentally 17. Like, I think she was like very much 14 or something. You know what I mean? Like, she
Mhm.
couldn't handle even when her dad wasn't getting her warm milk in a timely manner. You know what I mean? She'd become like irate.
She was very troubled with those documents that we read about prior police calls where she was like threatening to unalive herself, and then the shoplifting. Like, she had been going through stuff for a while.
Mm-hmm. And Steve knew about it. Like, didn't
Yes.
he say something about her, like, psych?
Yes. The phone call went in the hospital on August
Okay.
6th or August 13th. My bad. She's in the hospital after the crash, and he says her and him are fighting. They're fighting, and it's such a disturbance that the hospital calls the police. What were they fighting about? She wanted to get up and leave. I think there's more to that. I think
Mhm.
there's more to that.
And hello, everybody who's joined in chat. I'm trying not to interrupt Melly, but I do see you guys, and I just wanted to say hello. Somebody asked, did her parents know about the prostitution, or was that something you think they found out like through the investigation?
I think they knew about it, but not to that extent. Like, where she was like full blown meeting with guys and actually seeing them, because she did actually meet up with one and do like some foot thing, I think. So I think they were aware, perhaps, but not to such a serious extent, at least in my opinion.
Oh my gosh. Hold on. I wanted, so do you know Dr. Grande?
Yeah.
Did you watch his video? He's done a few of them. Like, he did a video on this case before the Netflix thing, and then this week he's also done another one. And he brought up a good point where he said, they use the excuse that like she doesn't remember things. But then how can she remember and be so sure of there not being any ill intent? You know what I mean?
I think she remembers everything.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe she remembers every single thing. But you're right.
He had some good visuals too, so I just want to pull up his video. I won't play the video, but I'll just have the visuals showing. And Melly also did an interview with Dom's older sister. which is on her channel. You guys can check that out. It's under the video section, not under the live stream section, but I'm sure it's on her playlist for the case too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that was a good interview.
Yeah, I mean, look at this vehicle. And so you played the body cam the other night, and some of the first responders were like almost, I don't want to say gagging, but they were just definitely like taking in like more oxygen, like, whew, you know what I mean? Because of like,
they were upset.
yeah.
You could tell.
Oh my
And
God.
the guy, the main guy was always asking like, are you okay? Like they were asking each other if they were all okay, because this was probably a horrible scene. I can't even believe that this image of the car. What is this? Like, it's literally in a million pieces.
And like this right here, like a brick wall to even crumble that way. Like that to me, like, I don't know. I feel like this picture speaks volumes, because I feel like people we've seen the car like we just saw, and we saw it in the body cam where it's like in a million pieces scattered like up to 20 feet away, probably. You know what I mean? Like it just exploded. And Toyotas they're decent vehicles. They're not some little like, you know,
yeah, they are.
Make them anymore, but those like Dodge Neons or whatever. They're not some little dinky car that's like a tin can. Like these are solid vehicles. And I was impressed to see like the brick wall, like, I don't know. I'm like, holy cow. Like that just shows you like how hard and fast she hit that thing.
But how did she how does one survive this? Like literally a brick wall like you're showing. It's how I'm shocked she survived this. She got really, I guess, lucky.
I know. That's what her father says, like he's like, she's lucky to be alive. And like, I think everyone's thinking that, but I also think that kind of like works against her, because it's like, I don't think she intended. I think she really thought, you're not going to be without me. We're going down together. You're leaving me. I don't think so. You're going to be with me forever, even if it's in eternity.
And you know, something I missed too in that footage that you showed earlier about the car on that, when it crashes into the wall, the horn was going off. Did you catch that?
No, that's
And
when
she was gonna drive it into the brick wall, the horn is going off, and I'm like, was that Dom?
Okay. I thought the same thing when I first heard the video.
Yes.
And it was like,
yes.
I think that it's just the car.
How fast it was going?
Yeah. Because I thought, wait, is that someone screaming? I thought the same thing. And then I thought, wait, is that music? I thought the same thing, but I really think it's the
speed of the car.
Yes. Like the dad said, like when they saw it in court and they realized that it was literally like a missile, like and that's what also like kind of, I think, works against her innocent claim, because it's like, you have to be so like two hands on the wheel. Like, I don't know, like, yes, it is a straight road, but
she was aware of what was going on.
She was absolutely aware. And like when she's turning down that road and whatever is going on in that car, like the screen that we're looking at, or whatever conversation was being had, it was the end for her. In her mind, I think she thought, oh, you know what? Forget that. But at the same time, it's like, so then right at that moment on that road, like how perfect. Like that's where the whole premeditation comes in. Like before she got to that road, did she know that she was going to do that on that road? Like, which leads us to say that something was happening where Rosie and all them are lying, and they knew that something was happening at the house. It had to have started at the house.
Well, but the question that you said is, did she plan it out on that route exactly?
Yeah,
I think so.
So that was,
why a brick building?
Was that their normal ride home? like from that location? Like these are things that like I haven't been able to scratch. Like,
Well, apparently I've heard both things, to be honest. I've heard that it is on her way home and it is a common route, but I've also heard like, she never takes that route, but I believe she does. And also like, why the brick building? I mean,
right.
a tree? I
Right.
don't know. You know what I mean? Like
I
that's
almost
another
thought
thing.
maybe she thought like I'll hit a tree first, but it just didn't happen that way.
Well, she hit a sign.
Yeah.
There's a sign before, so she could have been thinking like that'll probably stop the car. But that's the brick building too. Then it makes me think, okay, maybe it wasn't, and like she didn't pick that route, and she just figured, a brick
Valerie
building.
in chat said she did the test run 3 days before. And
Yeah.
Allison's confirming yes.
Well, with that, it's like her GPS on her phone was, they were able to pull that data, and she was on that route.
And like I remember when I would take a route specifically to work, it was like an on ramp where like you go up and you're turning and it's like above the ground. Like it's a highway that there's one going underneath it. You know what I mean? It's like a high rise. And I always thought to myself, like, oh my gosh, if I just kept driving straight, like I wonder if I would break through this concrete wall and then I would go down to the highway below me. Like that would be terrible. Like this could have been a road that Mackenzie drove all the time where you know how sometimes you have intrusive thoughts?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Where she's like going straight and then she thinks like, oh my gosh, if I don't stop at this stop sign, like there's a brick building. Like it could be something of that sort where it was like a regular route and she had it in mind. You know what I mean? Like she just knew I could speed down this road and go really fast at times. And then she used it for something wrong that day.
Yeah, it could be because she was so familiar with it that she was like, we'll be fine. Like, maybe that's what she thought. Maybe she thought that they would survive. I mean,
that's the thing is there's so many questions still. And Dom's sister, who did the interview with you, is very interesting. She also has her own channel.
Yes, the Big Sister Unhinged.
Yes. I'm subscribed. She's done a few live streams. You guys should definitely check it out. Let me just sum up a little bit of what she was saying in one of her streams, which kind of she felt, Netflix didn't really touch on. So let me just kind of summarize her one stream that she did. But you guys, she's definitely going to be talking about this discussion, and obviously her brother. There's a lot of people who think that Mackenzie's innocent, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I definitely can understand why, like, a family member would be like, I'm going to go on a platform and I'm going to be the voice that obviously my brother doesn't have right now. So good on her, and you guys should definitely subscribe. So it says, Christine Russo, the sister of Dominic Russo, responding to the Netflix documentary about the crash involving Mackenzie Shirilla. Christine says she created the podcast to defend her brother's reputation, counter what she believes is misinformation online, and give her family a public voice after years of silence. She describes how painful it was to see negative social media comments, body cam footage, and online discussions about Dom after his death. She says the documentary and public attention pushed her to finally speak publicly. Throughout the stream, she repeatedly emphasizes that her goal is to set the record straight to protect Dom's image. Christine and her cousin Becky discuss why they believe the crash was intentional rather than a medical episode. Because for those who don't know, part of her appeal and her defense now is that she has POTS. And I'm not going to pretend to know what POTS stands for, but you guys might know, and it's a whole medical term. But that is, do you know it?
Yeah, it's okay. Postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I'm saying the T word wrong.
Okay.
And it's a chronic disorder of the nervous system.
Okay. And it results in seizures and blackouts.
I think just blackouts. I don't even think seizures. It's like rapid heart rate, lightheadedness, yeah.
Okay. Okay,
and
so
blacking out.
that's part of her appeal. We'll get to that in a second. But so basically, Dom's family is going to have to go to court for all these appeals that Mackenzie is going to try, and so that's part of this whole channel for Dom's sister and the cousin Becky. So it says Becky references the black box data, arguing the steering wheel and the gear shift slowed signs of control until moments before the impact. So that kind of paints a picture of there was a struggle going on inside that car.
Yes, the steering wheel was the question from Hydrangea too. It says, do you guys think that the guys tried to grab the steering wheel? There was movement of the steering wheel and shift from neutral and drive back and forth. So they were definitely trying to stop her, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And with it going as fast as it was, I mean, it's not like they had 3 minutes to really gain control. Like this was something that was seconds.
Yeah. I know people say like, oh, why didn't they jump out
I
or,
thought
you know,
that.
or like punch her, and she would have like, you know, that would have like got her to maybe press off the gas and stuff. I'm like, I
Right.
don't think they had enough time.
They're probably also in shock. Like, is
Yeah,
she really
like
going to do this?
that's what I think Davion and Dom were thinking. Is she really going to do this? Like, I think they thought she was pissed off having a Kenzie fit, and I think that she was threatening them and stuff, and I don't think they thought she was 100% serious. And then I think that they realized, and I think there was a lot of screaming, and I think that the boys tried to definitely stop her. At least Dom. Who else would have shifted from neutral to drive? Maybe Kenzie, because she realized she couldn't stop, but that's not right, because the black box proves her foot was on the pedal 100% the whole time.
The brake was never even pretended to be touched.
No, the brake was not pushed at all. At all. Her foot was 100% on the pedal. The gas pedal.
That's why it's like her slow motion of turning down that road with the blinker, and it's like she knew as she was making that turn, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
They might not have known, because at that point she's not erratic.
Right. Or maybe like I said, maybe they were just fighting, you know. Her and Dom fought and argued all the time in front of friends, family, you know, on social media. They always were fighting.
Oh my gosh. So, she gives her personal theory that Mackenzie became angry during an argument and accelerated intentionally, believing Dominic and Davion intentionally thought she was bluffing. Yeah, initially thought she was bluffing. I think that that's definitely possible too, where it's like, come on, Kenzie, like you'll be okay if we break up. Like you're gonna, you know, everything will be fine. Like type of talk, and she's just like, no, you don't get it. Like we're not gonna be fine. Things are not gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And it says Christine agrees the crash was intentional, but says she personally believes Mackenzie snapped in the moment rather than planning it far in advance. How far in advance do you think it was planned, or do you think that it was like just for some chance on that road she snapped and decided to hit the gas?
I struggle with that. I think there was like a thought of it in Kenzie's head just from the prior fights and going through those text messages. Like, I think she was capable of it, but I don't think she went to that party and then they fought or whatever, and then she was like, okay, I'm going to kill him now. Like, I think that she thought about it and she's threatened it before. And then I think I agree with Christine. I think that Dom, somehow she knew that it was done for sure. And like I said, again, like you brought up, maybe the Snapchat, maybe a text message, maybe someone emailed her, maybe Dom, you know, like maybe Dom had written an email to his family. I mean, we don't know. Or maybe to Kenzie, like, we're done, you know, this is it, or something in the phone. And I think it was in the moment. I think that as she was turning, I think from that time they left the house to the crash, I think that's when she made the decision that she was going to kill him. But I think there was something aggressive and violent going on at that house between them.
Yeah. A major portion of the live stream, this is still referring to the one that his sister did, criticizes people featured in the Netflix documentary, especially friends who appeared on screen. Christine claims some of them were more closely aligned with Mackenzie than Dominic and accessed them and accuses them of misrepresenting his character. She disputes claims that Dominic and Mackenzie never fought, then plays audio from a past argument between them when they argue and that the relationship was toxic and volatile. She discusses the prison calls with the parents in it, the free Mackenzie support pages, those are wild.
I don't even look,
I
but
know.
I need to. I don't have Facebook, so I
Oh,
can't see
okay.
them, but I'm curious because I hear
I'll
a lot of stuff goes down in them.
I think one of them is a public page. Anyway,
Oh,
I'll send it to you. I know that you had stated that, and I know that Dom's sister doesn't want, obviously
to
people to
support.
engage in it. Yeah. For me, and I did the same thing in the Watts case, like people who bashed Shanann and thought Shanann killed the kids, like they created Facebook groups. So I went in those ones and I did like reconnaissance, like research, and I'm like, so this is what they think. Oh, I feel
Yeah,
like sometimes the best way to debunk things is to just listen to someone else's opposite opinion, like them saying this whole like, oh, she doesn't remember, and then like you pull up the body cam like you did the other day and we hear her talking to the first responders about Davion's name and all that. So it's like she definitely was able to comprehend like what was
she
going on. She
she
didn't
was having a
forget.
whole conversation with them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for her to not remember, and she wasn't even, if like I said in my life, if that was me, I would have been like screaming in shock, like, what just happened? Like, did I just kill two people? Like, she was just like, oh yeah, my name's Mackenzie Shirilla. And she's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's Davion. Davion
She's
and Dom.
she screamed a little bit in pain, but
And they
that was
were getting
it.
her out.
Yeah.
And then she gives, like, her address and stuff, so I'm like, "Whoa." She's having a full-blown conversation, girl. You remember, and you are fully there mentally awake.
You know what else I noticed, and I don't know if anybody else noticed, or maybe I'm just thinking into it too much. I feel like she said Davion's name in the documentary more than she could bring herself to say Dom.
Yeah,
Like she
but
would
I
talk about Dom and be like, and we were just, and he and I, but it was never like I just feel like she verbally said Davion's name, like almost like she was distancing herself from like,
like, detaching from Dom.
yeah,
I found it disturbing when she says I clipped this too, because I was like, "What the hell?" When she's like, Davion was a really good person." And I'm like, "So that's why you didn't give him a chance? He's a really good friend and a really good person, and you're saying that on the Netflix documentary, but then you chose to not get him out of the car
yeah,
and
there's
kill
shit.
him
Like
and
I'm sorry,
cause that pain to his family." Like,
she could have done so many other things to like make her point that she was trying to make with whatever her point was that she was. But I really think that she thought that they were all just gonna go down together. She didn't give a shit.
I mean, how we see it a lot in true crime, so it's probably like a dumb theory, but it's like, or thought, but like, how do you love someone so much that you can kill them? We see it
Right.
all the time with like, Barry Morphew. I mean,
Yeah,
Chris
yeah.
Watts. It's all has to do with like a schmurder, but it's like, wow, like for being 17 and to just, I guess maybe that's why. Like you
Like
said,
look,
she thought it was love. They were gonna get
Hallie's
married.
comment, this isn't really much different than couples getting in a fight and one of them stabbing or shooting the other. And it's true. Like
Mhm.
a vehicle is a weapon. It can be used as a weapon.
Driving is a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
And, they had fights before. Remember one time in the text messages, it was like, we're still reading those too. So we'll probably get a lot more info another time, this time around, because we're like looking at it with different eyes.
Mm-hmm.
There's one time where like one of them breaks the bong and they're like bleeding all over the place. Like that's violent. They're
Right.
like breaking stuff. She's like breaking
She
his
was
stuff because
not
she's so mad.
she wasn't mature enough for her own vehicle. she wasn't mature enough to live with him alone, like on her own. You know, like this girl was never told the word no by her parents, or I don't think you should do that, or I don't think you're old enough for that, or you can't handle this.
Okay, so I guess I have a question. Do you think she is a psychopath or slash narcissist, or both? Or do you think no, and she was just like a young, dumb teen who killed two people? Like, I'm curious because the more I'm into it, I'm starting to think like, definitely a narcissist.
Yeah.
But could there have been something else going on, like mentally, that Steve and Natalie were aware of, and that's why they enabled her and babied her and allowed her to do whatever she wanted? Because almost like they felt guilty or responsible for something to do with Kenzie.
Well, I remember something else that stood out in your research is her, which people have noticed, she's very, very thin to the point where it's like concerning. And she would have sort of like arguments like with Dom sometimes about like, and even her dad, where like when he wouldn't bring her that like chocolate chip something, and she was like, yeah, 2 hours later or 2 hours late or something like that. And it's like, this girl's like super hungry and she's like irritable. That's how hungry she is. Like, I think that there's some sort of eating disorder on top of her possibly being a psychopath and a narcissist.
One of the girls that did jail time with her, and I'll have to pull her up on my channel or let you know who it is, but I think I saw her maybe on X or TikTok, and she said that Kenzie did have an eating disorder. She told inmates that she was bulimic, or they saw her being bulimic.
I believe it.
I kind of believe it too.
And like, not that this is like, more proof of that, but I noticed also in the documentary where like that one friend, I think the redhead, I can't remember her name,
Faith,
and she was like, oh, you know, and they would always cook and it was always healthy, like organic stuff. Like, I think it was more than just she liked to eat healthy. I think that she had like some sort of like eating disorder, and that can be bulimic. Anorexia can also be like just preferring certain types of foods and like almost like an OCD type thing with it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think, and also her like obsession with milk, warm milk, like that's not real food, but it was probably like filling enough for her at times. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and remember in the text messages, she like goes through a period where she only eats a green apple. Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
Like something about that green apple. She was only eating like a green apple all day long.
Yeah. And the thing is, that has so much that could be like a whole 2 hour long discussion of like the effects of like eating habits and what it can do to your mentality. And you know, and it's like, that's a whole other thing. But I think that there's definitely some sort of eating disorder that had something to do with like her moods and all that, like against Dom, and her parents in text messages kind of showed a little bit of that, and food being connected to like her moodiness. But Dom's sister said the relationship was toxic and volatile, and she feels like the documentary minimized or misrepresented how Dominic and Mackenzie fought. And she says specifically the recorded argument where Mackenzie allegedly threatened to key Dominic's car, damage property. She refused to leave. She aggressively confronted him outside the house, claims they repeatedly were breaking up and reconciling, and claims both saw the other during the breakup. So like they were still, it was toxic like that, you know, probably still hooking up or whatever while they were like on the outs.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
then Rosie flat out lies and says they never fought.
That's that part. I'm like, oh,
So
girl.
there had to have been a fight that night. Everyone's saying that they fought except for Rosie, and then Rosie has to emphasize that there was nothing specific that night that happened. Like, you're lying, and you didn't work with police, and you were one of the last people to see these victims alive.
And then you disabled your comments after the documentary came out. She did that on her socials.
Oh my gosh.
So you know she's not. She knows she lied.
Yeah, I'll pull up
It's out there, the
one of her
text messages.
statements. Rosie made some statement. I'll pull it up in a second. I just want to go through. I've only got, because I don't want to keep you all night, because we could keep talking about this all night long.
Oh, you're good.
The a phone call with Natalie, Rosie's statement, and then just the rest of Dom's sister, like, response to Netflix. Christine claims Mackenzie allegedly threatened to crash the car with Dominic inside it about 2 weeks prior to the fatal crash. Dominic allegedly had to be picked up on the side of the road after an earlier incident. So all that plays into this as well. You know, and I want to know more about those incidents. Does that get like revealed in text too?
Yes.
Oh.
There's a lot.
So the medical episode theory about POTS, Becky, the cousin of Dom, says the documentary and the supporters left out details from the black box data, the steering wheel movement, gear shifting, and timing before impact. We kind of already touched on that, where we just feel like she would have at least hit the brake or let her foot off the gas a little bit if there was some sort of medical. And the thing is, like, yes, it's a straight road, but she had control of the steering wheel enough to kind of keep it straight. And even in the parts where it did have like a slight bend, there was no struggle, you know, with any of that. The wheel stayed control until seconds before the impact. The car was maneuvered down the winding road. The gear shifter moved shortly before the crash, and this contradicted a seizure or medical emergency theory. That's Christine's opinion as well. The prison call, Christine says prison calls show lack of remorse, mockery of victim impact statements, conversations of online support and campaigns. She specifically references a call where Mackenzie allegedly laughed after sentencing, comments about repenting, in quotes, discussions about free Mackenzie pages, and a call involving Mackenzie's father allegedly saying he wished the victims had never existed. She says the calls changed how people would view the case. Claims of the secret language and seizure discussion. Christine says that after the crash, Mackenzie allegedly asked her mother in a coded language, "Can I tell them I had a seizure or something?" She says this was not known publicly until after the trial translations. Dominic's personality and character. Christine repeatedly says Netflix viewers only saw fragments of who Dominic really was, says the documentary omitted how he loved his family and how much he was loved by his friends, his role as an uncle, his basketball background, music projects, loyalty amongst close friends, and the depth of grief his death caused. She argues people online unfairly label him. And again, I saw just through my little research of free Mackenzie pages, like them trying to say, like, here's the truth about Dom, and he was dealing drugs to the whole community, blah, blah, blah. And people fail to speak about that. And it's like, who cares?
Yeah, like you want to care about that, but you didn't mind when Kenzie was bringing home money and they were selling to her parents. Dom and Kenzie together were bringing weed over to Natalie and Steve. So it's like, okay, now you want to judge Dom and say like, oh, he was a rug dealer, la la. But it's like, okay, well, you weren't saying that when you were smoking with him or getting stuff from him or when he was dating your daughter for 4 years.
Right. It's sick. The family is, and that's the other thing too, is like that has made this case kind of like people are super interested because they're kind of like blown away at like the parents.
I am too. I expected it, but like I just can't believe. And her in that documentary, Mackenzie, is mind blowing.
When she's like, I don't want to like do too much and seem like fake. It's like,
and I'm like, do too much? You killed 2 people. Like you did too much, girl. Like,
right. And for you, if you're not being fake or you have nothing, like if you're just a genuine person, you don't really think about like not wanting to come off as fake. You know what I mean?
The fact she needed her lawyer there, I get it because she's in prison. I think sometimes in some states or in all, it's required. I would have to look into that. But nonetheless, the way she's like, "Ah, did I say everything okay?" I'm like, okay, you're not being honest. Like, what is this
Mhm.
even? I really think they thought that people would watch this documentary and believe that she was innocent and help her appeal. Now that I'm like seeing things play out, I'm like, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and
But
there's
it has been
definitely
going on for a while, though. You have to think that too. This movie has been
Mhm.
filmed throughout the last year. So maybe, and her first appeal got denied for being 1 day late. And that was what, March, April that I read, I think, that document. And so now they're trying again. So very interesting timing.
Mhm. Here's a little snippet of some phone calls. You know, there's a whole bunch of them out there. I think that's where like YouTube really started with this case. It was like the phone calls from prison and jail.
Hmm.
But here the mother is saying, "Don't say anything about on the call or anything because they're listening." And it's like, even for that, it's like, yeah, but if you're innocent, like you guys are claiming, like, what do you have to worry about in a way?
Hmm.
Anything about the call or anything.
What do you
Any
mean?
about your calls, the Dom's calls, because they're listening to conversations.
That has nothing to. It's not. What is that about saying Dom came to get me? Like you're about to make me hang up and not talk to you. I'm already
I
fucking
know you're
irritated. Don't say
irritated.
that. I'm allowed to fucking say that.
I
Dom
just
came
don't
to
want
get
to
me.
talk about anything.
I'm allowed to talk about that. I'm allowed to talk about that.
We don't
Sure,
talk
so
about
why-
it anymore.
I'm allowed to talk about it as much as I want because there's nothing to hide about it.
I know there is not. I
Okay,
just don't want to
so
give them anything. Nothing.
that's not giving them anything. Like what the fuck? Like what is happening? I'm confused. Like is this like are you okay? Like why can't I say that? Like that has nothing to do with anything.
I said anything more.
And I find it interesting that the mom is like, you know, you don't want to give them anything to use against you. Hands them her daughter's cell phone, though.
Well, I was thinking, I know it's like really, Natalie. But I was thinking that this morning. I'm like, I wonder if in the appeal, like, I hope the investigators or whoever, the warrants and all of that, I hope that everything was like up to par. Like, I hope that the search warrants
Oh, I know.
and like the ones from social media, and I'm assuming they were probably because they investigated this hard for a long time.
Mhm.
Well, a couple months. The crash happened, she was free. She didn't think she was going to get arrested. And then she got arrested November 11th. So it's like she was out for 3 months. And so I'm wondering and I'm hoping that they did do everything and that, in an appeal, none of that can come into play. Like, oh, the search warrant from Snapchat or like, which I don't think they did anything wrong, but I hope not because I would
Right.
hate to see anything help her appeal.
I agree.
I know you're irritated. You need
Nothing.
to.
There's nothing more.
Kenzie, I'm going to hang up if you can't, because they're listening to everything. So
I
let's
don't care.
control ourselves.
I can listen to
Okay.
everything
I
I
know
say.
you're irritated.
Don't tell me to stop talking about something because I'm just going to not stop talking about it ever. Never do that again. See, now this girl just about to get to talking to herself again. Like, man, she about to piss me off. Like, are you there or am I going to hang up the phone?
I'm here. No,
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. I
Did
will
you eat
answer that
breakfast
when
or
I
lunch?
talk. No, I didn't.
What did they serve?
I don't know. I refused it. It looked disgusting.
Oh, sorry.
Man, this girl is annoying as fuck. Oh my goodness.
Why? What is she doing?
Just talking to herself. She does this shit for like 5 minutes. Man,
Is it the same one?
yes. I don't want to hear that shit.
Sorry.
Man, she's not over there. She's not there. There's nobody there. Like, damn, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm about to get irritated as fuck.
Why? Who's she calling?
She's trying to call the staff who's not even there. Man, she needs to go lay the fuck down.
Is it the one that talks to herself all day?
Yes. She just got moved over here, and, like, she annoying as fuck. I need to get off of this pod, like, today.
Well, she'll be calling me back. Hopefully soon.
Oh, my God.
Don't say anything about the call or anything.
What do you...
So yeah, that's just a small glimpse of their phone conversations, everyone's like, I cannot stand her. I know.
I
I
know.
know. There's only so much that you can take of Mackenzie, but at the same time, there's so much to look at in this case where it's like, okay, so let's go through this now and look through, this aspect of it. There's like
Well,
the body cam and go ahead.
and it's different because now that the documentary is out, and there's others too. I was going to ask you if you've watched those, and with the sister speaking out and family speaking out, it's almost like, wow, that's why I did start the text messages all over, because we wanted to just go through them. We started the second reading in February. So it was like I just started them all over again because we wanted to go through them again. But then the documentary came out, and it's like now we're looking at these texts like with different eyes and catching things that that we missed before. Because even in the body cam yesterday, I missed like 2 or 3 things, and I was like, whoa, I've seen this like 12 times and I missed a lot of things, So sometimes
Yeah,
it's good to review
definitely
after.
worth going back through. You should just play your old streams of you reading it so you don't have to read it again. You can just listen.
Yeah, that is a good idea. But I like the like going through them like in live, like present time.
Yeah,
Like
because then you
it
can do like the bitchy voice for Mackenzie's text.
yeah.
I know, it was very entertaining. Definitely, you guys should definitely check out the playlist. And when Melly goes live on this case, this was something that Rosie posted after the documentary on her social. It says, I know a lot of people have questions, so I just want to clear a few things up respectively. Prior to the trial, I did speak with the prosecution, answered every question I was asked, and made it clear that I was willing to testify and cooperate in any way needed. I also want to address the inclusion of my social media in the documentary. I never wanted followers, views, or personal attention connected to such a serious situation, right? And I specifically expressed to the directors that I did not want that aspect included. My interview lasted over 8 hours, and I had no control over what portions would ultimately make the final cut. At no point was my intention to pick sides, defend anyone, or make light of the seriousness of the case. I was simply answering the questions I was asked based on my own experiences, knowledge, and what I personally witnessed. These are 2 examples of what I felt the documentary pushed the narrative without me approving. And so then she just shares like it's just stupid stuff, like her talking about like, this was me and Bubba clarifying that the documentary before it was released that they would not include my social media account. So she's just trying to like act like, oh, I didn't mean to gain all these subscribers and stuff. And it's like, okay, like she's just shallow. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing. No one's going to listen to Rosie and think like, oh, they misrepresented her. Like, no, you didn't speak with law enforcement. And then you went on there and you basically said that they try to like trap teens and stuff like that. So don't try coming around acting like you're some like, oh, they didn't follow things the way they made it seem like they were going to. It's like you said what you said.
You said what you said, and you signed a contract. Like you're signing that they can play whatever content they want that they're getting and edit it however they want. Like, you know what I mean? Like you said what you said, and you knew what you were doing, going on Netflix, speaking for the first time before even speaking to detectives and police. Like, whose friend really are you, Rosie?
Mm-hmm. And the thing is too, like, Mackenzie's lawyers know that she's okay to speak on the documentary on behalf of Mackenzie because Rosie didn't cooperate. So they know that Rosie has Mackenzie's best interest for whatever reason.
Yeah. And clearly what I took from that documentary and the Rosie thing is that they're still friends.
Mm-hmm. Same. So it says, for part of her appeal, the medical expert attached this part, and it says, this is part of her appeal, based upon the review and the relevant materials here to discuss it is my opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific and medical certainty that the evidence is consistent with Miss Shirilla having suffered a medical episode at or around the time of the accident that caused her to lose consciousness. Specifically, Miss Shirilla's reported and documented symptoms, elevated I don't know what that word is.
I can't.
8 levels, low blood oxygen level, elevated heart rate. So it's just retrograde amnesia. It's just listing the POTS symptoms and are what I would expect to see in an individual who had experienced a medical episode causing them to lose consciousness. So that they're definitely pushing like this medical episode through her appeal.
Yes. Yes, they are. That and the whole prior text messages of that fight, the incident 2 weeks before. I think that's what they're basing this appeal off.
And you are also doing a public records request at the prison that she is at right now as well. So there's documents that will be coming in, however long it takes, but that's going to be stuff that from what I know and from what people have done with the Watts, like once you're on a records request for the prison, like you're always getting emails, like you're on the list and they're going to send you like updates.
Yeah.
She apparently is not being a sweet, innocent, nice inmate either. There's all this documented stuff like from consensual sex conduct, being put out of place, encouraging or creating disturbances, violation of the rules, being out of place again, possession of contraband. I mean, this whole list right here is just what she's been up to since being in prison.
Yeah, she has, when she said in the documentary, I stay out of trouble with her fake thug accent. I'm like, no, you don't stay out of trouble. You've been kissing on girls and stealing from other people. And then how she's being treated in there by her parents is absolutely wild. Are they going to do that forever? For like, if she has life, like, is that what they're going to keep doing their whole life?
It seems like it's just, they don't think anything of it. Like it's normal to them to just have her be like, now shut the F up, and then be like, okay, honey, bye-bye, we love you, good night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then they're like sending her, she's getting like the nice packages. She's in a really comfy prison. Her prison is nice compared to a lot of other ones, and they have services that not a lot of prisons do. They have like it's still commissary. They send you like boxes and stuff, but they have bracelets, rings. They had Wet and Wild. I'm going to be showing this on my next live. They had like lip gloss, Wet and Wild. They had, what else did they have? They had hair gems. I think even like, you know how Crocs do the little pins? They had like those for the prison shoes. They have like pillows. Yeah, she's getting super like spoiled in there by her parents.
And since the documentary, there's fans that are like, oh, we'll send you money.
Oh, it's like all those Wade wives. Now there's going to be Kenzie, the men that want to date Kenzie. And we heard it in the calls,
and girls who are probably like, I love her.
I don't know if you remember, but I have the jail calls too. And I played the jail call where she tells her mom, it's under the videos tab, her and Natalie are having a conversation, and she's like Natalie's hooking her up with the men online, the older men.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. I'm like thinking I want to replay that call this weekend, because Natalie says, oh, well, you can talk to him and like, he can be supportive. But she was like saying like money.
Wants her to get money. Yeah.
Yeah. Like send you stuff. And I'm like, ew. And it was like an older guy, like 40. Kenzie says he's like in his 40s. And Natalie Shirlilla's like, oh, well, as long as he's not being like weird. And I'm like, what's weird to you? That's weird that you're doing that.
Ew, that's just sick.
Mm-hmm.
They have no morals.
I bet you Kenzie has like a boyfriend out of prison, and I think she has girlfriends in there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
She's the type that like she's got to have attention.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right. Well, I think a good way to end this is to play, since we're on the topic, former co-inmate of hers did an interview with News Nation, and what is his name? Jesse Weber did like a little segment on it this week. So
with Kat Crowder.
I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. I was just like, I'll just add this to our little lineup. So I'm going to play this and then I'm just going to do the outro and this will be the end, guys. So any final thoughts, Melly? Because like I could talk this case with you like
I
all
know.
the time, like and I that I'll be in your chats like listening to like all the reading of the text messages with Dom, with Rosie, with her parents. Like every time I've just got my popcorn, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this.
Yeah, I think my final thoughts, and thank you for having me on, by the way. I really appreciate it. But we'll do this on my channel too. Like I was thinking we could do Kenzie live on my channel.
Yeah, I'm
And
there.
go over some new like, well, not new stuff, but like new perspective. I think that, you know, as we go and go over everything again, I think more will start to pop out. I think my opinion is she is guilty. And I'm not a fan of Steven and Natalie, but I feel and I send a lot of love to the Russos and the Flanagans because it is a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. But thank you for having me on and much love to the chat. I see everyone here and the replay viewers. Appreciate everyone for supporting ATS and I.
Yes, thanks guys so much. And thank you, Melly.
Of course.
Yeah, I wanted to play, actually I forgot, it's only 21 seconds, but this is what got Steve put on administrative leave that he said in the documentary. And then I also wanted to say that when they showed Dom's mother, like when she during the trial, when she testified, I was like, I instantly realized that Dom like is the male version of his mother. Like he looked just like her.
The hair.
The hair, the chin, the nose. I feel like Dom was a very like unique looking boy. Like he's very stunning. Like I feel like if I'd seen him and Mackenzie out in public, I would have done like a double take and been like, why is he with her?
I do want to say, because I do support the Russos, Dom and a lot of people judge and say like, why didn't they do anything? But it's not that easy to say that. Dom didn't want his mom to know. Dom loved his mom so much, he would keep a lot of the fights from her.
Oh, I'm sure.
To protect, I think, his family and just not worry her. And there was a period where she was sick and he didn't want to stress her out. Yeah. So I want to exit with that too, that Dom, a lot of the time he wouldn't be completely honest because he was just such a loving, caring person. And his mom was his favorite person. So there's that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's that whole point is she created a ripple effect of so much destruction. For what? Why? You know what I mean? Like, because you couldn't handle things were going to be over. It's just crazy. There's so much more to talk about. But so this statement that Steve said in the documentary got him put on administrative leave. And I think it makes sense because as a teacher, this just sounds bad. You guys let me know what you think. Should Steve have been put on leave, or do you think that the school went overboard?
Multiple videos of her smoking marijuana and driving that car. I knew she smoked dope. I don't have a problem with her smoking dope. I don't have a problem with me smoking. I don't have a problem with you smoking it. If you're going to take a drug, that's the one I believe you should take. You know, it's better than alcohol. It's better than all the other crap in the shooting out.
I think he, when he said that, like he deserved to be put on leave. Like you're a teacher.
Yes, that's where I was going. I was going to say, you know, if he wasn't a teacher, would it matter? Probably not as much. But the fact that he's an educator and representing them and what he says, I do think they did the right thing, frankly.
I agree. All right. Thank you so much, Melly. And I'll play this and then the outro will take place. You guys join me tomorrow night. We're going to go through the JLR body cam with his interaction and confrontation with Nerdy Addict that took place in Arizona a couple months ago. So join me tomorrow night around 9. And yeah, check out Melly. She's in the title. You can just click on her name and then she's pinned as well. And she's in the description box. So if you're not subscribed, you better subscribe because if you're into this case, that is the channel that you should definitely be going to. So thank you guys and have a wonderful night.
You too. Thank you, girl.
Bye-bye.
To check out the new Netflix documentary, The Crash. You've probably seen some of the reactions on social media, right? People are absolutely ripping the doc star Mackenzie Shirilla for her behavior after causing the deadly high-speed crash that killed her boyfriend, 20-year-old Dominic Russo, and his friend, 19-year-old Davian Flanagan. Now, Mackenzie, who was just 17 when she drove that car into a brick wall, was found guilty of murder in 2022 after police revealed the accelerator on her 2018 Toyota Camry was at 100% in the seconds before the crash. And some viewers are saying that Mackenzie's remorse in the doc was all just for show.
I'm not saying I'm innocent. I was a driver of a tragedy, but I'm not a murderer.
Oh, wait, I just wanted to say that one thing that she said in this documentary made no sense. I'm not saying that I'm innocent, but I'm not a murderer. So you're saying you're innocent then. She's stupid. She's just stupid. That's all I had to say. Bye, guys.
Now, as proof, they're pointing to a TikTok video that she posted months after the crash in which she dressed up like a corpse on Halloween. And that's on top of all the videos she put up showing alleged reckless driving and drug use. But Mackenzie and her parents have maintained she's innocent, that the crash was caused by Mackenzie's POTS diagnosis, POTS being a blood pressure disorder that can cause dizziness and fatigue, particularly when someone goes from lying down to standing up. And speaking of Mackenzie's parents, they've been caught up in this whole backlash too, because Mackenzie's mom, Natalie Shirilla, has drawn fire for her arguably bizarre victim impact statement where she said that her daughter needed, quote, a second of fun after the accident. And new video of Natalie speaking to Mackenzie in her new home at the Ohio Reformatory for Women back in 2023. It's raising even more questions about the family because the argument is they're talking in like some kind of coded, strange, gibberish language. Take a listen.
Yes, please tell them I don't want to be on protective custody. Please tell them that. I am. I'm
Okay,
not
just
causing
keep that in
problems
mind.
since I've been here.
I know you haven't. I'm talking about in general overall.
Yeah, so is the Mackenzie Shirilla millions watched in that Netflix doc actually putting on an act? I'll tell you what, Pat Crowder sure thinks so. She served 6 months with Mackenzie in that women's prison, and she says the girl she knew behind bars is nothing like the remorseful inmate seen in the doc. Joining me now is social media influencer Kat Crowder. Thank you so much for taking the time. Why do you believe that?
Thank you for having me. When Mackenzie first walked out in the documentary, my jaw was dropped because that was not the person that I saw in prison when I was with her. She walked around in a very light demeanor, if that makes sense. So lots of laughing, lots of giggling, you know, makeup done every day. It was never this dark, smug, tough girl act that was in this video, trying to portray some sort of remorse. I never, you know, I don't know what somebody's thinking. I don't know what's going on in her head, but from my observations, there was never any, you know, behaviors that looked like somebody who was remorseful.
Did she ever talk about the crash? Did she ever talk about the victims in the case?
Not directly to me, but I've spoke to a few women since me being released and, you know, going on about her case, and they've came out and said that they had conversations with her and she informed them that it was not due to POTS, it was due to her being high. You know, there's a few different stories that she's had. One was that she had no idea, you know, she didn't remember, amnesia. So there's a few things that she circulated.
Did you ever see, talking about POTS, did you ever see any of those symptoms when you were with her, when you were around her?
Not once. She seems like a very healthy young girl. I mean, she was constantly on the yard. There were even times where we were in the middle of a heat wave and she was laying out with baby oil tanning in 100 degrees weather. She was very active, always walking. I never saw her get blood pressure checks, routine or emergency. I never saw her go to take any sort of medication. She seemed very healthy to me.
What did she talk about? Like, what did she say then if she was, you know, kind of like happy and optimistic?
Again, I wouldn't consider myself somebody who was friends with her.
Sure.
Our conversations were very limited. I mean, we had two, and it was about things that she was making jewelry. She was making jewelry, customizing shoes for people, hats. But the people that were close to her that I have spoken to, you know, she was just kind of thinking she was in high school. She was not focused on the fact that, you know, she murdered two people. In
one of your posts, you mentioned that Mackenzie used to have hickeys on her neck. What's going on there? How do you?
Yeah, so it's kind of normal. I don't want to say normal,
okay,
but common for some of the women in there to form relationships, like intimate relationships. And towards the end of my sentence, before I was about to be released, I saw Mackenzie walking the track on the yard, and she did have large hickeys. And it's come out since then that she's had multiple girlfriends since being incarcerated, doing who knows what. So that just had to result from another one of those.
Was she a mean girl in the prison?
I do say that she wanted to be like Regina George. I mean, just the way that she did her makeup, the way that it was like she was going out to a club or something, or she thought she was going to be famous or photographed. She would wear her clothes altered so they would be form-fitting, and she would make fun of people who had less than she did because she was well taken care of inside prison. She is taken care of.
What do you think about all the reaction that she's getting, in the wake of this documentary?
I mean, like I said in my video, I think that the documentary was filmed in a way to make her and her family look a certain way and not in her favor. And I do think it's crazy, because she strives to be famous even before getting in trouble. And before all of this, she wanted to be an influencer and all of the things. And it's almost like she's kind of achieved that, but in a different manner of being infamous.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. Look, it's so hard to judge, what somebody's acting like in prison, if they're putting on an act because who they're around, or, you're seeing the real Mackenzie. It's just very odd. So Kat Crowder, thank you so much for sharing your observations.